Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to a new episode of the GDM show. On today's show, we're going to be discussing a very important topic, and it is, can we trust our minds or our reasoning capacity on an atheistic or naturalistic worldview? I know we're going to cheese off some atheists today, but
inshallah we won't. Hopefully the atheists that are watching this, they'll really think about this and really try taking this and absorbing this without it irritating
and
them.
leaving a few comments.
Yeah, of course, helpful sort of comments which are genuine and not just aggressive swear words and things like that. Anyway, let's get into the subject matter of this video, right? Which is, can we trust our cognitive faculties? Are they reliable on naturalism? Now, before we go into that, first thing I want to do is I want to clarify it from the theistic, in particular Islamic perspective, right?
Sure.
Assuming Islam to be true, if our grounding, our foundation, our presupposition, whatever you want to call it, is Islam, then we have all the reasons to believe our cognitive faculties are valid and they're trustworthy. Right? Why do I say this? Simple reason, throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to what? Think, to reflect. Do they not ponder? Do they not reflect? Right? So what's this assuming? It's assuming that we've been blessed with the capacity and ability that if we don't use, we sell ourselves short, basically,
Sure.
which is our intellects and our minds, right? Our cognitive faculties, if you like. So it makes sense from a theistic Islamic perspective. Now, on naturalism, and even atheism in some cases, because many atheists are naturalists as well, this doesn't work.
Okay.
Right? Yes.
I've got my dunce hat on, the invisible one right
Right.
now, yeah? Can you tell me the difference between naturalism and...
Okay, briefly, without getting into the depth of things, naturalists generally believe that all that exists is the physical natural world and it's nothing beyond this system, basically, right? And atheists also believe this, but there's some atheists that believe that there are things beyond the physical natural world. So you can't really put all atheists in the same basket.
But they both don't believe in God, generally.
Yes, generally speaking, both don't believe in God, at least by definition, right? Or a creator or a being, supernatural being, right? Now, if naturalism is true, then I would argue we have no reasons to trust our cognitive faculties.
Our reasoning capacity.
Our reasoning abilities, our abilities that allow us to attain truth, right? Or attain true beliefs. Yeah? Or distinguish between true and false beliefs, right? Either way. Now, why is this? Let's think about this. On naturalism, all we are is an accident. We are an accidental byproduct of a lengthy evolutionary process, yeah? Which via natural selection, obviously, right? And all what we need to realize, all that natural selection is concerned with is adaptation, not with truth value of a particular
Survival,
belief.
basically.
Yeah, survival. It's about adaptive behavior. That's what it's concerned with. It's not concerned with the truth value of a particular thing, right? And also, we know that true beliefs as well as false beliefs are both adequate in resulting in survival, if this is the case. I'll give you an example, right? Say I blindfold you, and I blindfold Mr. Patel, yeah, who's not with us today, may Allah bless him. I blindfold you guys and I take you to a highway, a busy highway.
I see you smiling a lot.
Yeah. It's a very interesting, good thing, and I just like to put you guys in this position for some reason, yeah? So I take you to this highway and I blindfold both of you and I say, Mr. Patel, Sabur, I want you both to run across the road blindfolded, yeah? Your cognitive faculties are working, they're sound. But unfortunately in this example, Mr. Patel's cognitive faculties are flawed. He's mad or whatever it may be, it's not working right upstairs, yeah? Now, your cognitive faculties working would mean that when you are given this scenario, I'm telling you to run across the road blindfolded, you'll be like, hold on a minute, this ain't safe. I can get run over, I'm not going to do this. So here's an example of someone who's got sound cognitive faculties, right, which leads to his survival. Fine, it's all good for now, right? Now let's take Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel's cognitive faculties are not working. So he says, you know what, let's do this. I'm going to run across the road blindfolded, yeah, it's going to be fine, nothing's going to happen to me. But at the same time, he also believes that as soon as he tries to run across the road, his feet are going to become fixed to the pavement. So he's not going to be able to move. And what's going to happen if this happens, if he believes this? He's not going to run across the road. So here's an example of two people, one whose cognitive faculties are working, and the other whose cognitive faculties are not working, both survive, but one based on true beliefs and one based on false beliefs.
Wow.
Do you see? So true beliefs as well as false beliefs both can potentially lead to survival. So there's no distinction there. So if this is the case, if you look at it from a natural selection perspective, there's no reason for the cognitive faculties to develop which lead to sound and valid reasoning or true beliefs.
So
in that case.
when you get atheists who say, oh yeah, our reasoning abilities is not from a creator. Our reasoning abilities are an accidental byproduct of evolution, which
Yes.
helps us survive.
Well, what we've just shown is it doesn't make sense.
But it doesn't make sense from that perspective.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is they'll be adamant that this actually works
Yes.
because it's worked in the
Yes.
past. I mean, how do you?
But here's the
address
interesting thing. It does work.
that? Yeah.
Our reasoning ability, our cognitive faculties, and generally with most people in the world, are sound. They work. Now, the only way you can accept or validate these is via the existence of the creator.
Well, a simple way of thinking about it is just the same way that design indicates a designer.
Yes.
Our reasoning capacity indicates a creator who's given us those
Yeah,
reasoning
yeah.
capacities. Or else, if it's just an accidental byproduct, you can't trust it with certainty.
No, in the absence of God, you have no reasons to believe that your cognitive faculties are reliable. You have no reason. I mean, natural selection and evolution don't make up for that gap, right? Even if, for the sake of argument, if we grant that simple belief, true beliefs can lead to survival, it doesn't then mean that we can understand mathematics and philosophy and do science and do all of these things, right? It doesn't
Okay.
follow.
And just to clarify for the viewers, what we're not doing on the show is we're not challenging and saying we're disagreeing with all of biology here, we're
Yeah.
disagreeing with natural selection. No, no, no. Even if someone was to accept everything in its entirety, including Darwinian evolution, you'd still face the same dilemma.
Yeah.
Now, just because we're going to be running out of time, I want to sort of throw another thing into another question in, which we may answer in another show.
Yeah.
Our reasoning capacity, if it was just for survival,
Yes.
then just like animals have very low capacity of reasoning,
Yes.
right? Just enough to survive.
They survive very well, right?
Yeah, just enough to survive and just enough to reproduce and stuff like this. But what's interesting is we have reasoning capacity different to animals
Yeah.
that allows us to understand how the Andromeda galaxy works,
Yes.
how the surface, the ocean waves work, how all these different complicated things in the universe work, which a cat doesn't know.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the reasoning
This
behind
is
that?
the thing. As far as I can see it, right, and we're trying to simplify this as much as we can. Obviously, C.S. Lewis has written on this extensively. Alvin Plantinga, he's done a lot of work on this recently. But so that's what people want to go and study this further. But what we're simply saying is, like you mentioned, it doesn't make sense for such cognitive faculties to develop, which lead us to
Such advanced.
even so. Even if we were to grant that the basic ones could, which I'm not really doing right now, because I still don't see even simple truth-bearing faculties to develop via this process, right? So the point is that it doesn't make sense on naturalism, and if the very fact that they do work, in my mind at least, prove or show, give credence to the fact that a creative mind exists, a creator exists, who allowed for these things to work, who allowed for us to have these faculties which are trustworthy and reliant. Right? Think about it. Another way to think about this, just briefly before we conclude, is if, assuming Islam to be true, it necessarily follows that our reasoning is valid. It just does, right? But assuming naturalism to be true,
You cannot make that
it
conclusion.
does not. Then all you're left with is this vicious circle. My reasoning is valid, well, because it works, I tried it. Well, you're using your reasoning right now to validate your reasoning.
It's
Well,
classic
It's
circular
classic,
reasoning.
and then you go back to it, but then you keep using your reasoning to validate your reasoning. You're just stuck in this loop, which you
Okay.
can't escape.
I'm going to stop you there
Yes.
because of time.
Stop me, I'm going to get carried away.
He's going to get carried away. He loves this argument. So we'd love to hear from the atheist community on what their thoughts are on this particular issue. I've seen...
No colourful comments.
No, well, yeah, colourful comments are fine as well. We don't mind those. Please do email us on londondawamovement@gmail.com and we'll get back to you. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much for listening to the show. Assalamu alaikum.